up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about something a little serious, but I'll try to make it kind of light and fun because it is, and that's the whole point of this video. I want to talk about finding empowerment through your pain. Kind of a weird concept. I know it sounds odd, but basically what that means is taking these life experiences that we've had that have been traumatic or have had such a big impact on us that they still are something that we carry with us to this day, whether we know it or not. They cause these thought patterns and they cause these reactions, and they're things that we can do to let them go so that they don't hinder us anymore in our life. And when I say let them go, I know it can be scary because, you know, we think about these very shaping and molding things in our life, and we begin to identify with them. You know, when I was 10, this happened to me, and when I was 15, this happened, and you know, that's all great, and they are part of who we are and who we've become. But there are parts of those stories that become negative in our life. For example, things that I went through as a kid and even into teenage years, I have held on to them for so long that they started creating these patterns and reactions to things that didn't necessarily need those reactions, defensive reactions. That's a huge thing for me. I am very quick to defend myself. Even in times of where it is not necessary. Most of the time it's not necessary. I am just always so quick to defend myself because that is a learned pattern that I am now trying to work through. So finding empowerment through our pain is basically, you know, first step is owning it and owning your own life. And understanding that, you know, these are not just things that are happening to you. And why do all these bad things keep happening to you? They're just happening and they're moving, and just let them keep moving. But what we tend to do is we tend to hold on and we do not let that shit go. Okay? I want to keep it real too. I want to really be raw about this because that's who I am, and that's, you know, what you see is what you get. So I think the first thing, like I said, the first thing to do is to really own it and own our shit and own who we are and understand that we have control. Not every situation that happens to us is under our control, but how we react to these situations and how we move forward are 100% under our control. And what I mean by when I'm talking about these things, it doesn't mean you're never going to be sad. It doesn't mean you're never going to be mad. You need to experience those emotions to move on, to let it go. It just means that you don't let this story just replay and replay and replay. And you don't let yourself be the victim. You don't let yourself be the victim of life. This is your life. This is what you do with it is totally up to you. And I know, you know, when you're in this place, because I was there at one point. When you're in this place of, you know, extreme hurt from trauma, and situations, you say, if somebody's talking to you like I'm talking to you, say, well, you don't understand because I went through this and you don't know. But trust me, I know. I know. Maybe I didn't go through what you went through. Maybe you didn't go through what I went through. But I know. We've all been through our shit and we've all experienced extreme pain because that's part of life. And what we do is we start to compare ourselves to other people. We start to compare our stories. So now we're identifying with our stories, but then we're feeding off of each other. Like, oh, wow, well, they don't know because I went through this and that's not that bad because, they still did this. And these are all things that really hold us back. They hold us back from being and knowing our true potential and fully living in the present moment. When I think my realization happened when I was younger and I was constantly sad and sick. I mean, physically sick. And I was like, oh man, I'm always sick. Why am I always sick? I'm sick. And this is not, I didn't have any disease or any, I'm not saying people who have multiple sclerosis or something are causing their multiple sclerosis. For me personally, it was headaches or stomach aches or just pain, overall. And I finally thought to myself, well, man, every day I say how sick I am. I'm always going to be sick. And that was such a turning point for me because at that moment, I kind of took the reins. And lo and behold, I wasn't sick every day anymore. It was kind of, I would say it was the same time I was dealing with depression and anxiety and all those things that most teenagers, especially teenage girls, go through. And I saw doctors and psychiatrists and I was on antidepressants. And I remember taking these antidepressants and feeling like a zombie. And I was like, man, well, I don't feel depressed anymore, but I also don't feel anything. And that was also, one of the moments where I was like, okay, I need to really take a little bit of control here. And I really need to take ownership of my own self. I'm not a victim. We are not victims. You tell yourself you're a victim and you will always be a victim. Things will always happen to you. And you're always going to be living in that past, in that story. Finding empowerment doesn't mean that you are all the way there. Like I said earlier, I'm still working through so many of my old patterns. But recognizing what's real and authentic and what's kind of like a learned behavior is an amazing place to be. There, you have found the empowerment. Because once you understand that, you will not act off of things that are not of your true, authentic self. You can recognize where this is just something from the past, something that's old, something that you are working through. And it's really, really hard. I was going to say it's really effing hard, but I do want to keep it cute here. It's really hard. These are not things that happen overnight. When I had these realizations, that had to be almost 10 years ago. And I was very young. I was blessed, and I don't know where they came from. They didn't come from me. I have, I would say, a strong faith in God, and I feel like there are things that come to us and come through us. I think as a 13, 14-year-old girl, that kind of, those thoughts were not coming from me. It's a process, and it is an everyday thing. And some days I feel like, man, I got it. I really let this go. And then 2 weeks later, something comes up and I'm a mess, and I'm broken down, and I'm back to that place. And you have to let yourself feel it. Like, you have to be there, be present. Just let yourself feel that shit and let it go. And letting it go is not something that happens overnight. It's not something that happens one time. It's something that can take maybe up until the day you leave this earth, but there's such a beauty in it. And there's a beauty in these stories, in these traumas that we've been through, because they're so important, because they really are the shape and the mold, just as much as the good things, of who we are going to become and the evolution of ourselves as people, as souls. I'm not going to get too out there with it, but just understanding that they're necessary, and as ugly as they may have presented themselves, they are something that's beautiful. I believe that when we are no longer in this physical existence, when we leave this earth, there is no good and bad. There is just what it is. And I think that that's what this life is all about, is kind of coming to a place of acceptance and complete, I guess, equilibrium, where everything is balanced and what is. And so it is. I hope I didn't lose you on my rant. I think my thoughts can come out a little bit jumbled sometimes. But I don't know. I hope at least some of this is going to be received and heard. If anything, maybe I'll watch it and find something that'll help me. Take some time, write some stuff down, do whatever you feel, but take your power.